The marriage license is a secular contract between the parties and the state. The state is the principal party in the contract. The husband and wife are secondary or inferior parties. The secular contract is a three-way contract between the state as principal and the husband and wife as the other two legs of the contract, just like the blueprint yesterday. This diagram is from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. It is the blueprint of a marriage. Did you know the states patented a marriage? Yeah. For all those of thinking about getting married or are married, this is for you. Or those that are divorced, it's still for you. See, the state is the primary in the contract. The state joins with the husband and then enjoins with the wife. There is no direct line connection between the husband and the wife.
What's the ENJ?
Enjoins. Enjoins. Joins and enjoins. Enjoins just means second position joinery. Okay? So the state joins with the husband, enjoins with the wife. There's no direct line between the husband and the wife. That is a broken line. Any architect or engineer will tell you that a broken line on a blueprint is a beam that bears no weight. And they put God on that line. So God bears no weight in the contract. When you get married with the state, God bears no weight in the contract. The state is the primary contract holder under the doctrine of parens patriae. And if the husband wants to deal with the wife, they have to go through the state. If the wife wants to deal with the husband, they have to go through the state, and so on. Yeah. Yeah. And they tell you you have to get a divorce if you want to separate. When you get a divorce, you're still under contract with the state. So you still have to work through the state. Even if you've been divorced 30 years, you work with the state. They get involved in every aspect of your life between the two of you with the state. What I tell them to do is to take a holy Bible, a family Bible that has the pages in it, and you record the event, the date, the time, the place, who officiated, a couple of witnesses, and you do that with your births, your marriages, your deaths in your family, and you record them in a family Bible. The state of Alabama says, take these to a probate judge, and he'll record them on the land with the county recorder. And it's every bit as legal as that.
But you don't have been meddling in your life.
But you don't have the state as the primary in your life. That's how we're supposed to get married.
Can you use anything besides the Bible?
The Bible under public law, oops, man, 97-280. Public law 97-280. The Bible is law. The Bible is the Word of God. This nation was founded on God principles. And the Bible is law. And since 1607, we, the people, have been recording our marriages, our births, and our deaths in the Bible. and recording them on the counties of this country since 1607. It wasn't until the 1930s that we started doing this. He said, in the traditional sense, a marriage is a covenant between the husband and wife and God. But in a secular contract with the state, reference to God is a dotted line and not officially considered included in the secular contract at all. Exactly like the blueprint of a marriage on the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Okay? He said, if the husband and wife wish to include God as a party in their marriage, that is a dotted line, they will have to add in their own minds the state's marriage license is strictly secular. He said further that what he meant by the relationship to God being a dotted line meant that the state regards any mention of God as irrelevant, even meaningless. In his description of the marriage license contract, the related one other dotted line. He said in a traditional religious context, marriage was a covenant between the husband and wife, and God with husband and wife joined as one. This is accomplished with a recording in a family Bible with 3 witnesses. This is not the case in the secular realm of the state's marriage license contract. The state is the principal or dominant party. The husband and wife are merely contractually joined as business partners, not in any religious union. Okay? They may even be considered, he said, connected to each other just by a dotted line. The picture he was trying to paint was that of a triangle with the state at the top and a solid line extending from the apex. The state down the left. I didn't even find on the United States Patent and Trademark Office website the patent of a marriage until long after this, years after this. He was describing it to a T, and then I found it and I go, oh my gosh, here it is. It's patented. It's a patented process. Just drives me crazy. Okay. The dotted line merely showing that they consider themselves to have entered into a religious union of some sort is irrelevant to the state. Marriage license secular contract diagram. State is primary in the party. The husband and wife is secondary in the party. He further mentions that this religious overtone is recognized by the state by requiring that the marriage must be solemnized either by a state official or by a minister of religion that has been deputized by the state. That's why the preacher has to get licensed by the state to perform a marriage. He's deputized by the state, which makes him an agent, right? Well, go ask your bishop if you can get married in the temple without a state license. Tell me what he says.
No, the answer is no.
I know that. Okay, that's because they've commercialized. Goes back to the attorney running the church. Okay? So the minister of religion that has been deputized by the state to perform the marriage ceremony and make a return of the signed and executed marriage license back to the state. So it's his responsibility to return it signed by him as agent. Again, he emphasized that marriage is a strictly secular relationship so far as the state is concerned, and because it is looked upon as a privileged business enterprise. So you just go into business with your wife when you marry her with the state, right? Yeah. Various tax advantages and other political privileges have become attached to the marriage license contract that have nothing at all to do with the marriage as a religious covenant or a bond between God and a man or a woman. By way of reference, if you would like to read a legal treatise on marriage, one of the best is a book called Principles of Community Property by William D. Funiak. At the outset, he explains that community property law descends from the Roman civil law through the Spanish codes dating as far back as 600 AD, written by the Spanish jurisconsulates. In the civil law, the marriage is considered to be a for-profit venture or a profit-making venture, even though it may never actually produce a profit in operation. And as the wife goes out to the local market to purchase foodstuffs and other supplies for the marriage household, she is replenishing the stocks of the business and or its inventory. To restate, in the civil law, the marriage is considered to be a business venture. Moreover, as children come into the marriage household, the business venture is considered to have borne fruit. Now back to the explanation by the Maricopa County Superior Court Marriage Bureau's administrative assistants. He went on to explain that every contract must have consideration. The state offers consideration in the form of the actual license itself, the piece of paper, the certificate of marriage. The other part of the consideration by the state is the privilege to be regulated by your statutes.
That's such a privilege.
Regulated by your statute.
By their statutes. Yeah.
Just through being married.
Isn't that a privilege?
Yeah.
Once you change your status, you can rescind your contracts. I actually have a document that I used for myself to annul the state of Nevada, because that's where I got married. So I took the state out of the contract. He added that this privilege to be regulated by statute includes all related statutes and all court cases as they are ruled on by the courts, and all statutes and regulations into the future in the years following the commencement of the marriage. He said, in a way, the marriage license contract is dynamic or flexible. What did we talk about the word dynamic means yesterday in the law? To keep moving, just keep moving. So it's flexible, it keeps moving. Ever-changing contract as time goes along, even though the husband and wife doesn't realize that. My thought on this is that it can really be considered a true contract as one becomes aware of the failure by the state to make full disclosure of the terms and conditions. But remember, in court, presumption and assumptions, so must be repudiated in all aspects or you give over jurisdiction. A contract must be entered into knowingly, intelligently, intentionally, and with full informed consent. Otherwise, technically, there is no contract. But you go try telling the court that when you're a citizen, right? They could care less. The marriage license contract with the state is a contract of adhesion, a contract between two disparate, unequal parties. Again, a flawed contract. Such a contract with the state is said to be a specific performance contract as to the privileges, duties, and responsibilities that are attached. Consideration on the part of the husband and wife is the fee paid for the application and the implied agreement to be subject to the state statutes, rules, and regulations in all court cases ruled on regulated to marriage law, family law, children, and property. So the minute you fill out the application and pay the fee, you just bound yourself to the state statutes, rules, regulations, all court cases relating to marriage law, family law, children, and property.
Which essentially took all your rights away.
Yeah. Yeah, they took away your unalienable rights and gave you privileges and bound you to their contract just by going down and paying the fee and filling out the application and getting married. When you could have took the family Bible, you could buy at Deseret Industries for $40, recorded on the first few pages, take a scanned copy of it, write a little affidavit, and go record it on the county recorder's office, and you're just as legally married. But now, not with the state, but with you, your wife, and God. That's the proper way to get married. That's the way we got married for hundreds of years
What if
before this whole system of fraud came into effect.
You're stuck.
Now,
Let's not just have to get divorced first.
you know, you really need to annul the state for the fraud that they committed, for the cause of fraud and swindle, no full and honest disclosure, right?
Yeah.
And then get married the right way in the Bible, go record it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go back in like Family Search or Ancestry.com or one of the other genealogy programs, and you go back and you search records like 1600s, 1700s, you'll see everybody recorded it with the church in the family, in the Bibles of the church records, and then it was recorded. And you can pull up those recordings even today from 1620.
So how would you do like the ceremony or whatever? Do you have somebody marry you, or can you just exchange vows, or like how does it work?
You can do it however you want to do it. It's between you and your husband and God. Make the decision. Get on your knees and pray about it. There's no set way.
Just people fall into a pattern.
You record the event in the Bible. You get some witnesses who attended, who were there. They could be family members, and then just go record it. But do it in a little one-page affidavit, just agreeing on the event in the affidavit. Go get it notarized, attach it to the photo scan picture of the Bible where you recorded it. The Bible is the law. It's Public Law 97-280, passed by Congress, that the Bible, the Word of God, this country was founded on Christian principles, and it is law. Congress declared the Bible, passed in 1982. Took them that long. In fact, 1983 was declared the year of the Bible. Okay? Had a presidential declaration that 1983 was the year of the Bible. So.
If you are planning on getting married, or you know somebody that is, understand that anytime you get a license, such as a marriage license, you're actually getting permission from the government to do something that it is otherwise your God-given right to do. That marriage license is a secular contract with the state government, meaning that you are making the government the dominant party in your marriage. It is a business partnership as considered by the state. You partnered with the state via the marriage license as a for-profit business venture where you and your husband are now under the state's jurisdiction and authority of their rules, regulations, the court cases ruled on related to your marriage, family law, children, and property. And because of that, a state can remove children from parents' custody without the parents' consent, because the state then has jurisdiction over your children. If you would like a copy of my handout, which is what you see here, message me and I'll get you a copy. And I also have a video about this as well that I can send you a link to. I got married and got it filed and legal, all without a government license, and you can too. Message me.